In today's bullet journaling tutorial, we're going to calm things down and take it easy and prepare this celestial themed sleep tracker. Hi guys, I'm Shayda. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I teach hand lettering, bullet journaling, and watercolor, so consider subscribing. And I want to take a sec to say thank you to Amino for sponsoring today's video. Amino is a social networking app, but they differ from apps that you might be using in that they help you connect with people who share your interests, like bullet journaling or hand lettering. The Amino network has a community for pretty much every interest you can imagine, and I'm a member of the bullet journaling community, so let's check it out. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, so right now there's over 180 people live in the Bujo group, and as you can see, there's lots of sources of inspiration here, and Amino has cool features like group chats and polls. You'll find me on here. And if you'd like to download the free app, just check the video description for the link. So we're going to start today by preparing sort of a very basic, simple sleep tracker and then decorating it with this celestial theme. I've got my bullet journal here and I've just clipped it so it makes it a little easier to work with, especially if you're halfway through your journal. And then I'm going to write the month, which is March, in cursive, and then I'm just going to do a simple print to write sleep tracker. So nothing too crazy. You could make a more interesting title. Then I'm writing the numbers 1 to 31 down the side of the page along the dots. So not in the square, write the number on the dot if you're using dot grid paper. And then I'm writing my sleep hours across the top here, and I've done from 9 to 9, but you should do whatever hours suit you within a 12 or 13 hour period. And then because you've done everything on the dots, you'll see here you can put in your sleep hours, whether it's 10 to 7 or something, and you just can make a nice line along the dots. So that's a very basic sort of sleep tracker, and you can prepare that and keep track of things as the month progresses. And now let's decorate our tracker. So I'm going to draw a circle here, just using a little lid from a glass jar, and I've drawn a small circle in the top corner. And we're going to decorate our celestial tracker with sort of some crystals and starry skies and just sort of relaxing, funky stuff. So what I need to do is show you how to draw some crystals. So I've got my sketch pad here, and I'm doing this sort of lumpy shape. You can really do any shape, as long as it's sort of a little more larger across the top. And then in the front, at the very bottom of this lumpy shape, I'm just doing these sort of nondescript lines. And some of them come to sort of a point, some of them are topped with more of a square point. And you're just going to sketch this out and sort of see what works for you. And then in behind those initial lines, you can sketch out some larger lines that come to a point. And I think you can see how this is sort of coming together. It doesn't take a lot. Don't overthink it, I would say. It sort of comes together just with a lot of sketchy vertical lines and then some triangular points and some square tips, and you just sort of give this geometric feel to some of these areas. So let's do it again here, and I think I'll go over this one in pen so you can really see it. You start with this bulbous form that's like this squared off muffin that sort of becomes a little larger across the top, and then you can see you've got these small lines in the front or at the bottom, and then these larger lines rising up to meet the top of your form, and they all sort of come to some sort of geometric point, so triangles and squares. And then as you complete this little crystal, you can sort of do a little line shading, and that really helps make it pop. You can do some smaller crystals here just by doing sort of a nondescript shape, could be a rectangular or triangular, and then all you have to do is draw some lines to make it look as though there were prisms within it. So this would be sort of like your gemstone that you'd get at a, I don't know, in a barrel or something, you know, those trays of gemstones, whereas the other ones that we drew would be more like a chunk of amethyst. You could also try drawing a geode that's sort of open, so you're going to do this half potato shape, give it some stippling or a lumpy appearance with your pen on the outside here, because that's where it's rock, that's where it's rough. And then on the inside, make sure you draw that border, and then you're just going to do these little triangle shapes within it to represent the amethyst or the crystal that would be contained within that geode. And you can also do a simpler illustration by drawing the geode from above, so it creates this very two-dimensional drawing or illustration. And all you really have to do is do a funny sort of lumpy, again, potato shape, and then you can do these rounds within it. And these ones really come to life as well when you add some color. So by coloring them in a bright pink or purple and doing some detail with your pen, I think you'll have fun drawing these crystals. But that's sort of some of the basics. The basic illustrations. And then what I've done here is I'm going back to my circle that I did on the sleep tracker, and I'm using the same illustration that we just did to draw the amethyst crystal, or the first crystal, and I'm just doing some smaller geometric shapes and rectangular prisms and lines in the front, and then I have them getting larger towards the back of this circle or the top of this circle. Well, I think you'll see how it comes together here. I just drew it out in pencil first, so I've got all these vertical lines. I've topped them off with diamonds and squares and triangle shapes to give the look of these triangular or rectangular prisms sort of rising up. You want to leave some negative space towards the top of the circle. And once you've sketched it all out in pencil, you go over all of it in pen, and then it's time to add the line shading. And this is where it really comes to life. Now, what you want to do is decide where your light source is. So I'm saying that my light source is sort of coming from the top right. And that really matters in how I shade. So what I'm doing right now is all the left facing bits are going to be shaded the darkest. So I'm doing my heaviest bit of line shading on the left hand side of each prism. And you can see me going here. Anywhere that looks like it's left leaning or left facing, that's getting the darkest shading. Now I'll go back in, and anywhere that looks like it's right facing or right leaning, those sides of the prisms will get a much lighter line shading. And then anything that's sort of facing upward, I'm doing just the lightest line shading of all, if any. And by doing it in groups, by doing all the left and then all the right, it makes it much easier. And then I filled in the entire top of the circle with my black pen. I used a black marker for that. And then I'm just going in with my white gel pen and adding the starry night sky. And you can put as many stars as you like. It really helps make it pop and bring it to life. And that's sort of my little celestial crystal sky illustration. It's just sort of a fun idea. You can see I've brought some of the smaller crystal illustrations over here, and I'm just adding a bit of marker. I'm using marker to add a bit of color, and I'm just not coloring it in all the way. I want the color to look like it's coming from within the crystal. So by putting the color a little bit offside and not quite filling it in all the way, I think it gives this crystal a look like it's coming right off the page. And you could color these crystals in very vibrant colors, or just use a bit of gray to make them look clear. Here I've brought that sort of amethyst illustration over. I just put a touch of warm gray along the bottom, and then you'll see how this one really comes to life with color, because you just color from the top down. So you leave the bottom bit white, and that really makes it look realistic. It gives the look of that real crystal that's clear or white near its crust, and very vibrantly colored in the center or at the top of the crystal there. Now this one, I wasn't sure if I liked the pink. I was like, oh, my page is too colorful. This is what it's like to be me. So I made another one to cover it up so that I would have a more mellow color palette, and then all was well in my world. Just a little glimpse into my mind there. So that's what the sleep tracker looks like after you do about a week of your sleep tracking. I hope you guys enjoyed doing this relaxing celestial sleep tracker. I really enjoy the relaxation element of bullet journaling, so that's partly why I wanted to put this video together. If you're into bullet journaling and hand lettering and illustration, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next week with a new tutorial. Thanks for watching.